I'm Vanessa Gardiner. I'm a landscape painter. I've been represented by Thackeray Gallery for over a decade now.
How did you decide for this solo show that you wanted to focus on two places, and they're two such different places?
That's an interesting question. I'd never been to Orkney before. It was suggested to me by a couple of people, but I'd also done quite a lot of research myself. But also I like the connections between places. I know parts of Greece very well indeed, and I have been to Idra before, but I'd only been to Idra at the height of summer. So in a sense it was an exciting new landscape, as was Orkney.
Could you share with us a typical sort of morning outside when you arrive somewhere first time ever and you want to start exploring and painting it? What do you do?
It will come to me quite quickly if there's a particular view that I want to work from. It will be an immediate, quite emotive. I'll feel something for it. I'll know straight away probably that that's something I could work from and that I could do a series of paintings from or drawings from. So I'll get a small sketchbook. If it's Orkney, it'll be windy invariably, so that's easier to hold. And if it's Idra, then it will be probably quite hot, and so I'll need shade, but I'll start drawing with a sharp pencil, small sketchbook, and just get the essential lines and shapes down and look at it and keep looking and keep walking. It's almost like surveying the landscape. You go round on different paths, you see it from the other angle, so you can go up one bit and realise you're walking on the very bit that you were drawing on, and you look across. So you know where you are, and you know the lie of the land, which is important to me. I realised how important it is to revisit places, and I've done a lot of paintings from Orkney for this show at the Thackeray, and in a way I felt I owed it to the place to go back there, see whether I'd done justice to the place in my paintings. And it was a wonderful experience, really. It was as though I was walking back into the paintings, and there they were. There was the place, absolutely as I hoped it would look. And I was walking on a grassy path. I realised there was the line that I'd been struggling with pencil, and I was walking on that very line that I was painting in. So it matters hugely to go back to places for me.
You start your work on ply, which is rough, but you manage to make your pieces feel like marble to touch. How do you do this, and why do you do this?
I like working on ply because it's solid and hard, and I know that it's robust enough to take all the scouring and sanding and repainting that I'm inevitably going to do on it. And I also like ply because it almost changes its quality as the more I work on it, the more I scour it, the more I sand it. The actual quality of the ply seems to changes. It's almost like an alchemy, and it becomes, I can only describe it as almost like a fluid quality, and this corresponds to the hard lines and the way I work within the painting, and I like that juxtapositioning.
And how do you get it to be so unbelievably smooth?
That's all the work, that's all the sanding and the scouring and the repainting and the scrubbing, and eventually it becomes this other thing, a beautiful pattern that emerges.
I love the way you have done a number of paintings for this upcoming show of the Kaimini Walk. I personally have walked that walk, and I think it captures it exquisitely. It just transports me completely to that place. Did you know, for instance, when you did that walk, I'm assuming from the harbour, from the port,
yes,
to Kaimini, which is roughly, what would you say, a sort of 20-minute walk,
yes,
half an hour walk?
Yes.
Did you walk beyond there? Did
yes.
you carry on? And what was it about that walk? Was it the for you that was so powerful? Because I mean,
it's enticing in a way. It's an immensely enticing stone-paved walkway that you follow along by this extraordinary deep cobalt blue sea, little islets across, amazing view of Dokos, the big island, which is a very strong, strange-looking island, and walking round, wanting to keep going and keep walking. And I think it was that captured my imagination with it, inspired me. I like the integration of real architecture with natural architecture. And at, say, Birthday in Orkney, there's a causeway which you can only cross over 2 hours either side of the tide. And it's this wonderful concrete structure that relates actually to the island ahead of it. And that's a beautiful place to work from.
It's very interesting that you work with so many layers of taking things on and off and back and forth on your ply, and it seems to have a parallel with the nature itself and the way the sea behaves against the cliff, going back and forth rhythmically, all the time sort of basically gently eroding our coastline. Do you think that might be one of the reasons why you do this enduring, incredible, labour-intensive work on your ply?
I guess there is a parallel there between working on the ply and the scouring and the sanding that goes on, which relates to the actual landscape and the actual geology of the landscape.
I notice in your paintings you never really capture weather.
No, that's true. I think I'm not so interested in the moment of something. I'm interested in its permanence and that it's always there, and it's a landscape that I can go back to in a way. And so the weather, although it's obviously around all the time and it's the same thing that changes a landscape, for me it's the permanence of a place that inspires, that enthralls me.
Vanessa, you live in Dorset, and yet in all the years that we've been representing you and previous to that, I've not seen any paintings of the coastline of Dorset. Is there a reason for that?
I used to, when we first moved there, I did paint from Dorset, but I like the harder structures that there are in North Cornwall or indeed Orkney. I like having some kind of physical distance from the place so that I work there and I draw there, and then I bring the drawings back to my studio, and I like that more contemplative, reflective time in the studio. It's a very different process of work, bringing the drawings back and working from them. Working at the paintings in the studio is a different process altogether.